It's funny how sometimes an email can trigger an idea for a video. I got one today that gave me a great idea for this one. Hi everyone, I'm Sandy and welcome back to my channel. Today I have the most anticipated books that are coming out in 2025, at least according to Barnes & Noble. That's who I got the email from, and I was really excited about a lot of these that I saw, some that I wasn't familiar with, but yeah, lots of really interesting books for you. So I thought I'd come out and just share some of them that are coming up, the ones that I chose to put on hold at the library, the ones that I actually am planning on buying, and the ones that are intriguing, but I haven't made the jump to either, one, I couldn't find them at the library, or make the decision that I knew I was going to purchase them. All right. I will leave the link in the description to the Barnes & Noble site, though, so you can go out and check out their website, which has nonfiction and young adult, has a ton of different books on it. I am not sponsored by Barnes & Noble. I just happen to like Barnes & Noble and shop there quite frequently. There's a couple not too far from my house. So, but I will go through some of these going in release order. And so the first one is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. I have never read a Grady Hendrix book, but the description of this particular one, it definitely captured me. A group of teens at a home for pregnant girls face adversity, shame, and more until a book of witchcraft changes everything for them. I'm definitely intrigued. I put it on hold at the library. We'll see when I get it, but I think that one's gonna maybe be my entry into Grady Hendrix. I know Grady Hendrix has written a number of books, so we'll see how this one goes. Book's publication date is January 14th. All right, the next one I'm buying this book. I know I'm buying this book. I've been planning to buy this book. I haven't gone so far as to pre-order the book, but it's awfully close, and that is Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. This book will be published on January 21st. It is the third book in the Fourth Wing series. Fourth Wing was the first book, Iron Flame is the second one, and then Onyx Storm is the third. I adored Fourth Wing. It is very much romantic fantasy in genre. Interesting characters, lots of found family kind of components to it as well. I hated the ending of Iron Flame, and I really need to know what happens because it was very much a cliffhanger at the end of Iron Flame, and I just need to know what happens to my favorite characters in that particular book. I hope I'm not disappointed. I understand it's fairly short compared to Iron Flame, which was really long. So that one I am definitely on board for. The next one is We Do Not Part by Kang, sorry, I pronounced that incorrectly. This book also publishes on January 21st. This author wrote the book The Vegetarian, which I have not actually read yet. I'm interested in it, but I haven't picked it up. This Barnes & Noble summary says, "This We Do Not Part tells the story of a friendship between two women while powerfully reckoning with a hidden chapter in Korean history." I mean, that sounds pretty interesting. So, but I put it on hold at the library, but not enough to buy it. I also ended up putting The Vegetarian on hold at the library. So let's dip into it and see what we think. The next one is The Crash by Frida McFadden. This book publishes on January 28th, billed as a psychological thriller. I do like a good psychological thriller from time to time, especially if there's a little bit of romance in it as well. So maybe that would be good. This is fast-paced, twisty, and taut. The nightmare she's running from is nothing compared to where she is headed. Main character is actually 8 months pregnant in the book. All right, then, let's dive in. It'll be my first Frida McFadden. The next book is an author that is becoming one of my favorites. I have read, I think, 4 or 5 books by this author, and that is TJ Klune. The book he has coming out is The Bones Beneath My Skin, and it publishes on February 4th. This is a standalone supernatural road trip thriller is how it's billed, featuring a young girl and her 2 unlikely protectors. I don't know, but I'm here for it. I have enjoyed every book that TJ Klune has written. Even if maybe some of the content isn't necessarily for me, I've still really enjoyed his book. So, all right. The next book is called Battle Mountain by C.J. Box. So C.J. Box has a large number of titles out there from what I could see. I have never read anything by this author. This book comes out on February 25th, and it is described as Outlaw Falconer Nate Romanowski. Yep, is off the grid and out for revenge. I do love the cover on this one, though. I think it's really beautiful. So I put it on hold again at the library. So we'll see. We'll see if it comes in or not. I don't know. Or when it will come in. That's what I don't know. I know it will eventually come in. I just don't know when. I'm losing my mind today. All right, the next one is called Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall. I think this might be a debut novel. I went out and looked on Amazon. I looked on Goodreads. I looked on a lot of different places and could not find any other books published by Claire Leslie Hall. So that's pretty exciting that there's a debut novel on this. The book actually says a love triangle unearths dangerous, deadly secrets from the past in this thrilling tale for perfect fans of The Paper Palace, which I have not read, and Where Crawdads Sing, which I have read. The farmer is dead, he is dead, and all anyone wants to know is who killed him. That's a pretty good tagline. Barnes & Noble is doing a good job of doing some good summarization in there. So, did I say when that one, Broken Country, was being released? It's being released on March 4th. The next one is Dream Count by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. This author, I have read Americana. I read that last year, and it will come up again in some of my rankings that will be coming up. And I did really like that book quite a bit, so I'm very excited about this one. This is an unforgettable new story of love and friendship, identity and race. The story of 4 women, their lives, longings, and desires, and it features a Nigerian travel writer, I believe, in America. So yeah, but like I said, I really liked Americana, so I'm hoping that I really like this one. Dream Count is being published on March 4th, 2025. All right. The next one is one that is a genre I'm not super familiar with or don't read a lot of, which is horror. And this is The Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. This is a chilling historical novel set in the American West in 1912, following a Lutheran priest who transcribes the life of a vampire who haunts the fields of Blackfeet Reservation looking for justice. So very Interview with a Vampire-y. There's something about a diary in it. I don't know, but I'm kind of intrigued by it. I think it'll be, maybe I'll dip some into horror this year. I don't know, but I'm intrigued enough by it. I did put it on hold at the library. The next one, when I read the description for it, I was like, oh yeah, and I definitely want to buy it, which is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. If you're not familiar with Suzanne Collins, she wrote the Hunger Games series, which I have read. I've read every book in that series, and even though it might be more geared towards younger readers, I have loved that series ever since I read it. And this one features Haymitch. And so it is at the 50th Hunger Games. And back in District 12, Haymitch Abernathy is trying not to think too hard about his chances. All he cares about is making it through the day and being with the girl he loves. I don't think I'm going to be able to read that book without picturing Woody Harrelson from the movies in my head. But Haymitch's story, I mean, it is a bit of a spoiler because you know how it ends. I mean, you know some of how it ends. But yeah, that one publishes on March 18th. The next one is a very popular romance writer, I believe. I've never actually read any of her books, which I find fascinating. This is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. This book will publish on April 1st, and it just has a very short tagline in it. With thousands of miles and a sick cat between them, can this pair find love, or was it all a fluke? Curious if this is a very formulaic kind of romance writer. Some are, some aren't. You know, boy meets girl, boy and girl break up, boy and girl get back together. Right? That's the very formulaic kind of romance pattern. I don't know if this one is or not, so we'll see. The next one is the third book in a trilogy, and it is called Fearless by Lauren Roberts. The first one, I believe, is called Powerless, and then the next one is called Reckless. I have not read those two. This one, it says, the trilogy sears forth with Patton facing a fate that only she can. How will she define the kingdom of Ilya? That's all it said. I mean, that's all I wrote down as far as a summary for this particular book. I don't know on that one. I obviously would want to read Powerless and Reckless before I read that one, but I haven't read the first two. It publishes on April 8th. Emily Henry also has a new book coming out. This one will publish on April 22nd. I have read a couple of Emily Henry books, and I did like them. I didn't put them necessarily in the auto buy, her in an auto buy kind of place for me. The book that she has coming out is Great Big Beautiful Life, and it will publish again on April 22nd. An elusive heiress, a love story and mystery. Cathartic, romantic, tragic, and charming. Two writers compete for the chance to tell the larger-than-life story of a woman with more than a couple plot twists up her sleeve. Okay, we'll see. I mean, I just read the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which was kind of like someone interviewing someone, but slightly different. So I'm really curious about that particular one. The next book, this author I've heard of, and I've heard that the books can be very sad or beautiful. That's kind of, I have that mixed message in my head, neither of which may be true. The book is called The Emperor of Gladness by Ocean Vuong. This book actually publishes on May 13th. It says it returns with a big-hearted novel about chosen family, unexpected friendship, and the stories we tell each other in order to tell ourselves in order to survive. I am a big fan of found family. It's one of my favorite types of books to read, the idea that you can just have your chosen family around you. So I think that's one that I really do want to get. I couldn't find it at the library yet. They only start ordering or putting it on the site for reservations a little bit later. And this one says it doesn't come out until May. I couldn't put a hold on it. Stephen King also has a new book coming out, and Never Flinch. It will be published on May 27th. The King of Horror has returned. Along with a few old friends, Holly Gibney is back to investigate a terrifying threat and serve as bodyguard to an activist with a target on her back. Taut, immersive, and chilling. Yeah, I mean, I've read several Stephen King novels. I've liked some, I've not liked some. I don't know if it'll be on the must-buy. We'll see. The next one is definitely on the must-buy for me. I have read a couple different books by this author and absolutely loved at least one of them. The book is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. This book will publish on June 10th. The book I have read is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I love that book so much. I thought it was just such a unique premise to it and very, very well done. I understand some have found it to be a bit repetitive, which I completely understand why, but it was one of my favorite reads, not from last year, but one of my favorite reads. This book says 3 young women, their bodies planted in the same soil, their stories tangling like roots. One grows high and one grows deep and one grows wild, and all of them grow teeth. All right, then. I mean, that one, I would say, yeah, I really am interested in reading that particular one. The next book is by Riley Sager. I have not read any Riley Sager. A very popular writer, but not one that I have picked up. This book is called With a Vengeance. It will publish on June 10th. One train, no stops, a deadly game of survival and revenge. In 1942, 6 people destroyed Anna Matheson's family. 12 years later, she's ready for retribution. Okay. All right. I mean, it sounds interesting. It's got a good hook to it. It's got a good premise to it. 1942, so World War II time frame. Really interested. Okay. The next book is by a classic author, Joyce Carol Oates. Her book coming out is called Fox. It will publish on June 17th, 2025, a spellbinding novel of literary and psychological suspense about the dark secrets that surface after the shocking disappearance of a charismatic mercurial teacher at an elite boarding school. My favorite book that I've ever read by Joyce Carol Oates was Blonde, which was all about Marilyn Monroe, a fictional kind of retelling of her life. Still to this day, one of my favorite Joyce Carol Oates books. I haven't read a ton other. I do own one. I own Breathe, which I haven't actually read. I should probably read that before I read this one, but it is on my radar. And the last book is by author that's written in a couple of different genres, and that's R.F. Kuang. This book is called Catabasis. The cover has not been released yet. This book will publish in August 26, 2025. And it says, Katabasis noun, ancient Greek, the story of a hero's descent to the underworld. Two academic rivals from Cambridge must travel to hell to rescue the soul of their advisor. Getting there was easy. Surviving it and each other is another thing entirely. Now, R.F. Kuang also wrote Bauble, which I have not read, and Yellowface, which I have read. Yellowface was very different than this, so I don't know what this one's going to be like. Hopefully it's a good read. Hopefully it's one that I would be interested in. It's a fair amount away, so we'll see what happens in the next 6 months, 8 months. I'm sure there'll be something else that will pique my interest by then. But that are some of the books that Barnes & Noble had on their most anticipated reads of 2025. What do you think? Are there any that are piquing your interest? I would love to know that in the comments. There are definitely at least 4 or 5 on this list that I am actively looking at reading, super excited about. Couple new authors, couple old to me authors. Yeah, let's read some new releases this year. That would be really fun if I could manage to figure out a way to fit those in. Please let me know, like I said, in the comments down below what you think. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, everyone, thanks. Bye.